welcome back to another Plan With Me. And this week we are going to be using one of my newer designed kits, and this one is called Rush Week. I think it's pretty obvious, but this one is inspired by like sorority Rush Week. And you guys, I'm not gonna lie, I really have never been like into like sorority things until like just a couple years ago when the big like rush talk stuff started going off on TikTok and social media. And honestly, not gonna lie, it kind of like took me by storm, and I thought that this would be a really like fun, pretty kit. So that is what this kit is inspired by. And like I said, I have never really been interested in sororities. I know some people, they had family who grew up in sororities, like mothers and aunts and sisters and whoever. Sororities are kind of like a big thing in some places, and in other places they're like non-existent. And I kind of grew up in an area where the local college that I went to was not very big on Greek life at all. There were a few sororities and a few fraternities at my university, but it was not a huge thing at all. I think there was probably only three sororities, I think maybe three or four fraternities. And like I said, it just wasn't a big deal. But I know in a lot of, especially Southern schools, SEC schools, sororities and fraternities are like their life, especially whenever I kind of like came across the whole like Bama rush talk kind of stuff and all the like videos surrounding it. And you guys, it's a crazy world that I just never really had much interest in. And I also think with sororities, there's definitely kind of like two minds of it, where there's definitely some people that are totally in it, they're totally for it, it's like life to them, and that it's all about sisterhood and philanthropy and partying. Then the other side of it, that people think it's very shallow and like you're just paying a lot of money for friends. And I don't know where I fall on this line as far as like my outlook on like sororities and things like that. I definitely think I see it both ways, where I do see it could be like a really fun and exciting like sisterhood type of thing. But then I also do see like the little bit of like the shallow side to it. And I had no idea that sororities were so expensive. Now, of course, it definitely varies from school to school, from chapter to chapter, from sorority to sorority as well. There's really like so many different factors that go into how expensive sororities are. So like I said, my local school definitely was not big on sororities, but the large university that is about an hour away from me is definitely one of like the bigger known for sorority type of school. And I'm not gonna lie, I have fallen into such a hole every August that comes around, like the start of school, like watching all the like TikToks and stuff on Bama, Rush Talk, and all the other schools. I don't know why, it's so entertaining in a weird, fascinating kind of way. Like if I could go back to college now, would I go back and like rush a sorority knowing what I know now? Probably not. Definitely not at my school, because again, it just wasn't that big of a thing. But the thing that does drive me absolutely insane, and I have no idea how legitimate some of these things are, but especially the last few years, the biggest things about Rush Talk would be like the outfit of the day videos and stuff like that, girls like showing off their outfits. And as like a response to that, there's also been like a really big trend of people like reviewing those types of TikToks and calculating like how much these outfits cost and like the jewelry and stuff. And you guys, some of these outfits are like estimated to be like $10,000 outfits. 99% of the time, a lot of it does have to do with like the jewelry kind of driving up the costs. Like I guess Van Cleef is like a really popular kind of like jewelry brand at the moment that is pretty expensive. But also on the other side, I'm like, okay, how much of this stuff is fake and like from DHgate and like Shein and like knockoff stuff? I'm sure there are some girls that really do have that kind of crazy money that are rushing sororities, because those are not cheap. I mean, honestly, like if you're thinking about of some sororities paying the like chapter dues of like $4,000 or $5,000 a semester and like living in the sorority houses, it's just kind of this really strange fascination I have had. So I definitely had a lot of like fun putting this kit together. I didn't know anything about sororities and stuff before, probably just a couple years ago, whenever all like the Rush Talk stuff was going off, all the scandals. Even Netflix did like a documentary on Bama Rush. I watched that. I thought it was a very interesting documentary. I think it also had a few like ulterior motives that didn't quite fit the initial vibe of the documentary, but I still thought it was a pretty interesting one. But I've always just wondered like what that world was like, and I have fallen into such a rabbit hole. Like every August I will watch the like room tours, the house tours, and like people decorating them, and Rush Week and Bid Day and just all that stuff. And if you don't even know what all this stuff means, I honestly didn't either. And I have this just weird kind of fascination with it. On one hand, it seems, like I said, kind of fun, sisterhood, philanthropy, like doing all kinds of like good charitable kinds of events. But then there's like definitely some schools that really take on like a party vibe, and I just know that for me and my personality, I would probably never have joined a sorority, but I still kind of have just this weird fascination with it. And most of this is all coming just from like the whole Bama Rush, sororities and stuff. So obviously, like I said, different schools are going to be like completely different. And if you guys are like my age or older, you might remember way back in the day, MTV had a TV show that was called Sorority Life. And I remember watching that like so long ago. And I actually ended up finding it back in, I think it was January of this year. I found the MTV episodes re-uploaded on YouTube, and I was watching all of them when I was sick one week in early January. And it was so entertaining to watch, and I completely forgot about that show, but I thought it was so interesting and like such a walk down memory lane. If you guys remember that show, definitely check it out on YouTube, because it's so crazy how many things are so similar from like 20 years ago with sororities and how different they are at the same time. It was just kind of one of those like really crazy trips down memory lane, and that was another thing that made me want to kind of like design this like modern aesthetic kind of Rush Week. I know that we're past Rush now, but of course I used it at the time that the schools around me were doing Rush Week. But if next year you would like a kit to commemorate either Rush Week, if you're rushing yourself, if you're just interested on the social media side of it, this is definitely a really great kit to pick up. So definitely let me know your thoughts on sororities. Do you think they're fun? Do you think they're cool? Do you think they're shallow? Whatever you think, definitely leave your comments below and let's start a discussion. And just another mention, if you haven't watched my other Plan With Me's, I do fill these out off camera because I do have a little bit of personal information on there, so that is why you don't see it filled in on camera. It's not just a blank planner. This is what the spread looks like laid out. Alright guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Links are below. And until my next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.